president is in meltdown mode as it relates to the situation at the border.
My guess is that cooler heads will prevail upon the president not to do it.
This is one of, if not the biggest crisis this country has faced in a decade. We're now treating this like a massive Cat 5 hurricane disaster.
Well, Fox News alert for you. The southern border at the breaking point, with Customs and Border Protection estimating that they arrested 100,000 illegal immigrants in March alone. So why does Congress seem unwilling to act? Joining me now is Congressman Michael Cloud. Thank you so much for joining us very early this morning. We appreciate it.
Sure, it's good to be here. Good
so
morning
you know
to
what you're talking about, though, specifically. Let's talk about the district that you represent. I was listening to a recent interview you did, a podcast where you talked about these two highways that come through your district there that go to Houston. They bring in drugs. You call it the fatal funnel. Describe for people a little bit more about that.
Law enforcement for years have called this the fatal funnel. Basically, drugs, human smugglers, they come up through these two highways and head toward Houston, and then whether it's human trafficking or whether it's drug, go out through the nation. And of course, those corridors are littered with, you talk to ranchers. I talked to a rancher just a couple weeks ago, and he said, I find dead bodies on my land all the time. And so this is a serious situation. In South Texas, we've known for years it's been a serious situation, and it's only escalated recently. And it's good that it's getting the attention that it needs, but we definitely need to see serious action at the border.
And what would that serious action be? You heard Kirstjen Nielsen just talking there, saying that, she would compare this to the response needed following a hurricane or a natural disaster.
Yes. On top of that, I would say that the cartels that are controlling the southern side of the border should be treated like any other hostile actors at our border. They are not kind. They do not have the best of intentions in mind for our nation, for our people, for the migrants who they're bringing to our border. Customs and Border Patrol released just about a week ago a video of them dropping a couple young girls into razor wire so that our Border Patrol agents would leave their post, attend to them for care, and then funnel drugs and people through the border. And this is the kind of callous regard for human life that they have.
So when you talk about dealing with those individuals and treating them as hostile actors, to that do you mean we need additional military at the border?
We need infrastructure, we need immigration judges, we need whatever it takes. Our Customs and Border Patrol are overwhelmed. They do not have the resources, they do not have the manpower. I would be for more military at the border if that's what it took to stem the tide of what these cartels are doing.
We're heading into another election cycle, so of course a lot of the Democratic presidential candidates, they have their proposals coming forward. We now know at least one of them, the first one so far, has been released. In terms of this is from Julian Castro. We can bring up some of the elements in his immigration plan. It would change illegal border crossing from a criminal violation to a civil one. It would end wasteful border wall construction, whatever he means by that. Pathway to citizenship for dreamers, undocumented immigrants, and TPS. And it would increase the number of refugees allowed into the U.S. So he's talking about increasing the number of refugees when you're telling us firsthand we already have an uncontrollable amount of people crossing the border right now.
We do, and they're claiming asylum, but the truth is 90% of them are coming for economic reasons, which is understandable, but the thing is the way we heal the world isn't through immigration. We cannot, I've been to India, I've seen people who talked with people who are persecuted, I've been around the world, the people who live in abject poverty. We cannot immigrate half the world's population into our country to solve the problem. What we can do is, the founders gave us a good prescription for this, to be that city on a hill. If these nations live by the principles that this nation was founded upon, they would see the same sort of prosperity.
But then on that point, I have to ask you about what the president is also talking about in terms of cutting off all funding, all aid to several of these countries that all of these people are fleeing. Would that work? Providing them aid doesn't seem to have worked so far.
It's one of the tools in the bag. For many years, we've continued to give countries aid that, again, don't have our best intentions in mind. And so if they're not going to help us out, why are we providing them aid? Whether it's Iran or whether it's these countries who are not helping us in this particular situation, which is a very, very serious situation.
Yeah.
Yesterday we had some people from our district in the border on a completely separate issue, but the conversation just went toward they have clients whose a daughter and husband were taken by cartels and held for ransom. We have landowners along the border who are continually told to stay off their own property because the cartels are using it.
Yeah, we've spoken with many of those individuals, and it is terrifying.
This is happening in the United States of America, and it's time for Congress to act.
All right, Congressman Cloud, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.